Cobra Ninjas strike in this epic review featuring the new GIJoe classified Night Creeper. We review this high-tech ninja warrior with his alternate mask, sleek design, and killer accessories. Plus, we check out some ninja action comparisons to the original 1990 and 1993 Night Creeper figures. This episode also includes cool display ideas using both GIJoe and Cobra classified vehicles and figures. If you're searching for GIJoe classified figure reviews, Cobra army builders, or 80s and 90s GIJoe toy comparisons, you've come to the right place. Let's go. We're back with GIJoe this episode, and with one of my favorite figures and characters from the 90s, the Cobra Night Creepers. Not only do we get a new Cobra Ninja for the Cobra ranks, but we also got Ninja Troop builders in one of the coolest designs ever, and the GIJoe classified version takes that design and original concept and totally brings it to life, giving us the most accurate version of the figure yet. If you were into that whole ninja era of GIJoe like I was, eventually culminating with the Ninja Force, as well as the awesome early turn of the decade 90s Cobra designs, then stick around for this episode 50 of Heroic Nonsense, and like and subscribe for more fun, informative, and unique takes on all things GIJoe and Transformers. It sure helps us here as we grow the channel, and always appreciated. 2 in 1. Yep, you heard that right. You essentially get 2 Night Creepers for the price of one, since you get both a 1990s figure and design, plus a bonus head accurately replicating the 1993 version of the figure's design. Now, I wasn't a big fan of the 93 version, and the 90s Night Creeper will always be my jam, but I have to say that the version 2 head design with these colors and this design actually looks pretty damn cool. As for the figure itself, it looks fantastic. I love everything about it, from the colors and camo, to the high-tech design, to the sculpt itself. They also perfectly fit into that GIJoe era sweet spot where the designers were taking more chances with the designs, concepts, and colors before it went full on crazy. If you're going to have Cobra Ninja in a modern military unit, these are the guys you want. It's amazing what a head swap can do, and we'll take a deeper dive into V2 of the Night Creeper shortly, but it's clear here how different the look is between these two versions. While the original 1993 version did have this sculpt, the colors were very different, as was the design. Perhaps we'll get a more accurate 1993 version at some point with a bonus 1990 head. Now, wouldn't that be cool? Which version do you guys prefer? All the iconic elements of the original figure are here, though bulked up with a lot more detail. The very cool breastplate along with that incredible futuristic ninja mask are definitely the focal points, but that wouldn't hold up on its own if you didn't have a ton more well-designed elements like the tabi, purple and nicely detailed camo on the legs, and gray belt with the daggers hanging off of the hips. I like the added shoulder guard as well, giving this figure a mix of ninja and modern samurai appeal. I also really appreciate the extra bit of attention to detail like on the tabi, which they could have left very basic looking. Both versions look imposing in their own right, but that sculpted cloth around the 1990 headgear and mask really adds to the look and realism and gives it a bit more contrast than the 93 version. As for gear, there's a lot, most of which are upscaled versions of the weapons the original 1/18 scale Night Creeper came with, or actual pieces versus molded on weapons. You also get a few different hand positions. The weapon that grabbed my attention back when I was a kid and still does is that crossbow, which was such a great accessory for this figure, making him stand out from the rest of the troops. This one is extremely detailed, and as is par for the course these days, comes with a removable arrow, which actually stays firmly in place, so low risk of losing it for sure. Other than the 2 daggers, all the weapons can be placed on the backpack, as you can see here. Depending on which weapons you choose to keep on the backpack, you can get different unique looks. Check out those extra sculpted on arrows, which is a nice touch. In hand or on the backpack, that crossbow looks mean. I prefer to keep the crossbow in his hands, but you can see why it would be fun to attach his backpack as well. And in either configuration, you get a great figure for play and display. I'm also giving you a glimpse here of how you can attach a sword through the loop on the belt to have it hang off his side if you wanted a different look. I mostly did it because the more jagged of the swords tends to slip off the backpack more often than not. The crossbow has 2 handles, which allows you to create this kind of look as well, which I really like. Oftentimes when you have weapons with 2 handles, it can be hard to get them to realistically face forward. I'm happy to say that this is not the case here. In these next few shots, I'm showcasing 2 things. One of the many ninja action poses you can place him in, really living up to the name Creeper here, as well as the left bonus hand, which is holding a ninja star, which is such a great build. It's unique, perfect for this character, and something I don't believe we've seen yet in the line. Again, great for play and display. One of my favorite shots is this one where the Night Creeper is pulling out both of his knives from his belt, which can also be placed in his hand to create some fun action shots, which I'll showcase more of in the display ideas section later. As for the bonus head replicating the sculpt, though not the color of the 93 Night Creeper, I do have to say it looks way better here than it did on the original 1/18 scaled figure. Maybe it's because they made the mask a bit more proportionate, or maybe because of how well the rest of the design is. Whatever it is, this version of the Night Creeper does surprisingly look good and is a completely viable way to display him. They were really going for a bug-like or alien-type head sculpt here, and really doesn't borrow any of the elements of the original 90s version. Perhaps that's another reason I didn't appreciate it back in the day. However, if this is the type of look you like for your Night Creepers, then you'll be very happy with the overall sculpt and all the details they added to it. As for some more examples of posability, he does balance well in this position, though I have to say the joints at the hips are very tight. I feel that the leg joints have a better degree of freedom of movement than the shoulder joints, and glad to see that the knees are the right mix of tightness so as to be able to easily move them while still being able to hold a pose. I was surprised at how easily I was able to display him in this really cool kicking pose. He just balances really well once you find that sweet spot and can make for some really great action shots. I also slipped in some shots using his bonus open right hand accessory, which can be adapted for these types of poses, as well as others which I'll show more of in a bit. I love it when I have my original 1/18 scale GIJoe and Cobra figures and vehicles with me, as they're usually back at our cottage. I planned ahead for this one and made sure I had my complete set so I could show you guys. What an amazing original figure it was, so highly detailed with that great tech ninja design, and you can easily see how close the two versions resemble each other, with the classified Night Creeper basing a ton off of the original mold. There are some minor color differences throughout, but not many. I love that they included the split toe tabi here and even included similar ridges. The mask is where I find the biggest update, with the classified version getting much needed detailing around the cloth inspired portion of the mask and helmet, which now drapes down over the side, which is accurate to the original art and cartoon, and it looks fantastic. Otherwise, it's pretty much an identical mask with some added highlights and blade marks. The original Night Creeper had these fake molded in daggers on the belt portion, which was made into a real belt and holster with daggers for the classified Creeper, and it's actually one of my favorite parts, especially with the loops they included, which just makes it stand out so nicely. The weapons are exact replicas of the originals, with added details and color. You get both highly specialized sword designs, and a backpack which captures some of the cues of the original, but also gives it a much needed update. I assume the retro version will have the red coloring. And of course, that awesome crossbow. Even though this design was not a favorite of mine, I did ultimately get it because I love the character so much. Everything other than the mask, including color, is different. I find the 93 version design to be very generic other than the mask, so I'm glad they provided this alternate head with the classified 1990 update. The helmet is almost a note-for-note replica of the original. All the main cues are there, including that very alien-esque visor. Even the ridges at the top are included. I do think the classified designers did an amazing job updating this helmet for classified though, especially around the top and side ridges, which you can see well from this angle. They really copied it all, and I kinda dig the look from this angle. It will be interesting to see if they ultimately make a 1993 classified version of the Night Creeper, or whether they'll take this exact mold with the two heads and make a purple version similar to the V2 Night Creeper. Time will tell. In the end, I truly appreciate the fantastic classified update to one of my favorite Cobra figures and characters from the 90s, and I'm really glad that they didn't make us wait too long for some of these 90s GIJoe figures. So what do you guys think? Hit or miss as an update to the original? And was this also one of your favorites? Let me know in the comment section below. Alright, some fun now with a few cool ideas for team-ups and display ideas, starting with my all-time favorite ninja himself and favorite character, Storm Shadow. I recognize that at this point, at least in the original continuity, Storm Shadow had already joined the Joes, but in my continuity, he existed in his Cobra form at the same time as the Night Creepers, leading them into battle against Snake Eyes and the Ninja Force. Or perhaps he was already thinking of abandoning Cobra, and felt animosity towards these non-traditional tech-based ninja. Either way, it makes for a great display. I thought this setup would be a pretty cool one. I could definitely see Firefly working with the Night Creepers more than Storm Shadow and his clan. For whatever reason, I think these guys just work well together conceptually and design-wise as a team. To date, these are the 1990 Cobra troops released for Classified, and I remember the originals well from my time as a kid. All these designs were so unique, and updated Classified ones will be tons of fun, especially if we get the original Rock Viper, Undertow, and Laser Viper Classified versions. I left Metalhead out of this shot because, well, he was an Iron Grenadier after all. In this shot, we really get into the action pose part of this review using some of the alternate hands that come with the classified figure. You can see one Night Creeper pressed up against a vamp while the other sneaks up on an unsuspecting grunt next to his ram. By the way, that is a Duke head on a breaker body since I had multiple versions of both. With the helmet on, it's an easy way to create some background troops. And of course, we have to bring in Snake Eyes as the resident Joe Ninja. A cool way to display Snake Eyes as we slowly build up both sides of the ninja teams. I put Storm Shadow here about to launch an arrow at someone, but who in fact was he aiming at? This could be the moment he switched sides, or did he just want to take out Snake Eyes on his own? Right now, the front box art of baseline figures is not all that special, so let's instead turn to the side, where all the nice art is these days. Although not much space for the image, it's there and it nicely captures the essence of the deadly ninja. The back has a really cool action pose with a second Night Creeper in the background. Not sure what the background is though, but very industrial looking. So that wraps up this week's special ninja focused episode. Hope you enjoyed this trip down memory lane and the spotlight on this incredible update. Thanks for watching. And remember, it's all such heroic nonsense in the end.
Bravo!